Have you ever wondered who could be keeping a close watch on Wednesday Addams? By the end of Season 1, she began receiving unsettling and cryptic messages on the phone Xavier gave her, sent by an unknown figure. But the big question is, who is behind these mysterious texts? And even more intriguingly, what does this mean for the story in Season 2? In today's video, we're going to break down the top suspects and explore who could be responsible for this mysterious stalking of Wednesday. The season finale left us all with a major cliffhanger. Who's sending these unnerving messages? Just after the intense events that unfolded in Jericho and the abrupt shutdown of Nevermore Academy, Wednesday received texts from an unfamiliar number. Since then, fans have been eagerly speculating about the identity of this mysterious figure. There are several intriguing suspects to consider, and in this video, we'll be diving into each one. So stick around to catch our full analysis and see if your theory matches up. Let's turn our attention to a character many fans suspect could be behind the mysterious messages targeting Wednesday Addams. With a complex backstory and deep-seated motivations, Bianca Barkley certainly stands out as someone worth a closer look. If you followed Season 1 closely, you'll recall that Bianca began as one of Wednesday's main competitors, but by the end of the season, became a key figure in saving both Nevermore Academy and the Outcasts. From the outset, Bianca and Wednesday had a relationship built on rivalry. Both are strong-willed, determined individuals, and they frequently found themselves competing for control, albeit for different reasons. As Nevermore's most powerful siren, Bianca was considered the queen of the school. But suddenly Wednesday showed up, a newcomer who instantly captured everyone's attention without even trying. Her unusual yet authentic personality was enough to make Bianca feel threatened. But that's only part of the story. As Season 1 unfolded, we saw that Bianca had her own personal struggles. A significant aspect of her character is the tension with her mother Gabrielle, who is determined to bring Bianca back into their siren group and use her powers for less than noble purposes. While Gabrielle's presence in the first season was minimal, her influence could play a much larger role in the ongoing mystery. What does Gabrielle truly want? Is she simply seeking control over her daughter, or is there a darker plot at play? The relationship between Gabrielle and Bianca is deeply manipulative. Gabrielle is the type of person who doesn't take no for an answer. Using her siren abilities, she manipulates and controls those around her, Bianca included. Throughout the season, we saw how Gabrielle applied emotional pressure on her daughter, trying to lure her back into the fold, using manipulation as her primary tool. But the question remains, does Gabrielle genuinely care about Bianca, or is she just shaping her to fulfill her own ambitions? Even though Gabrielle wasn't physically present throughout much of the season, her influence is hard to ignore. Like Bianca, Gabrielle possesses mind control abilities, but hers seem to be even more potent, making her a particularly dangerous player in this mystery. Could the texts Wednesday received be part of a larger scheme orchestrated by Gabrielle? There's a possibility that Gabrielle has been controlling Bianca without her even knowing, turning her into an unwitting pawn in the stalker's game. This twist would not only deepen the complexity of their relationship, but also add a tragic dimension to the entire storyline. Just imagine if Bianca, thinking she had escaped her mother's grasp, was actually still under Gabrielle's control the whole time. Gabrielle could be using her abilities to monitor Wednesday and everyone at Nevermore, controlling Bianca's actions from afar. This would turn the stalker mystery into something much bigger, with Gabrielle pulling the strings behind the scenes to ensure her plans remain undisturbed, especially by someone like Wednesday whose curiosity could potentially unravel everything. What if Gabrielle is actually the mastermind behind the stalking? This theory suggests that Gabrielle sees Wednesday as a direct threat to her ambitions, which could explain why she's been watching and intimidating her from the shadows. What if Gabrielle is actually the mastermind behind the stalking? This theory suggests that Gabrielle sees Wednesday as a direct threat to her ambitions, which could explain why she's been watching and intimidating her. Gabrielle is a highly ambitious woman, willing to go to any lengths to maintain her power. We already know she manipulates those in her circle, so why wouldn't she do the same to Wednesday? If she views Wednesday as a potential obstacle, it's entirely plausible that she's behind the cryptic messages, using them as a tool to keep the young Addams at bay. This also brings up another possibility. Could Gabrielle's influence extend beyond just Bianca? What if she's controlling other figures within Nevermore, or even working with outside forces to ensure that Wednesday stays in check? Such a theory would add another layer of intrigue to the stalker's identity and objectives. There's another layer to Gabrielle's influence that goes beyond merely controlling her daughter, Bianca. We know Gabrielle leads a secretive group, but how much do we actually understand about its true purpose? What if this group is tied to even darker events connected to Nevermore, or possibly the Addams family's history? It's possible that Gabrielle views Wednesday as more than just a threat to her control over Bianca. Perhaps she sees her as a key player in a much larger and undisclosed agenda. Consider the potential impact of this. Gabrielle, as the head of this mysterious group, may be pulling the strings behind more than just Bianca's actions. She could be manipulating people and events at Nevermore to further her own hidden goals. Could Gabrielle be attempting to prevent Wednesday from uncovering ancient secrets that would shatter her power? Or, even more chilling, could she have plans to use Wednesday for an ambitious scheme far greater than anyone realizes? If this theory is correct, Bianca becomes a tragically significant character. Despite all her efforts to free herself from her mother's grip, she may unknowingly remain a pawn in Gabrielle's grander design. The question is, does Bianca even understand what her mother is really after? Or is she just another piece in a much larger, dangerous game? If Gabrielle is indeed the mastermind behind the messages Wednesday has been receiving, it throws Bianca into the heart of a painful dilemma, being used as a tool by the very person she's trying to escape. This dynamic also sets the stage for a major turning point in Season 2. Will she find the strength to confront her mother and break free for good? Or will Gabrielle tighten her grip, pulling Bianca even deeper into her schemes? This mother-daughter conflict could explode into something far more intense, overshadowing Bianca's initial rivalry with Wednesday. Xavier Thorpe stands out as one of the most intriguing and emotionally complex characters in the series. Throughout Season 1, his connection with Wednesday became more complicated, as his growing feelings for her were constantly met with her indifference. While Wednesday repeatedly pushed him away, the question lingers. Does Xavier have his own hidden motives for keeping such a close eye on her? Could he, in fact, be behind the mysterious messages? One of Xavier's main struggles throughout the season was his distrust of Tyler Galpin. From the very beginning, he suspected Tyler of hiding something sinister, and he was proven right when Tyler was revealed as the Hyde. But Xavier's character wasn't always straightforward. There were moments when his actions seemed questionable, casting doubt on whether he was entirely innocent. His ambiguous behavior leads to an intriguing possibility. Could Xavier himself be the stalker? Or perhaps someone working in the shadows aiding the real culprit? One of Xavier's main struggles throughout the season was his distrust of Tyler Galpin. From the very beginning, he suspected Tyler of hiding something sinister, and he was proven right when Tyler was revealed as the Hyde. But Xavier's character wasn't always straightforward. There were moments when his actions seemed questionable, casting doubt on whether he was entirely innocent. His ambiguous behavior leads to an intriguing possibility. Could Xavier himself be the stalker? Or perhaps someone working in the shadows aiding the real culprit? Given Xavier's complicated backstory, it's not out of the question that he could still play the role of an antagonist. After all, he was the one who gave Wednesday the phone, meaning he would be one of the few people who knew she had it. This fact alone casts suspicion on him. Could he be using the phone as a way to stay connected to Wednesday, or even to monitor her movements? His motives remain unclear, and his feelings for Wednesday combined with his past leave room for suspicion. What do you think? Could Xavier be hiding something much deeper than just his romantic feelings for Wednesday? Beyond his connection with Wednesday, Xavier has a complex history with Bianca Barkley, which was briefly touched upon throughout Season 1. While it seemed as though their paths had diverged, there's a palpable sense of unresolved tension between them. Could they both be involved in the stalking? Toward the end of the season, there's a fleeting moment where Bianca makes an appearance, followed shortly by Xavier giving Wednesday the phone. This sequence raises the possibility that they could be working together behind the scenes. Another significant aspect of Xavier's character is his strained relationship with his father, Vincent Thorpe. A famous but emotionally distant figure, Vincent's absence weighs heavily on Xavier. Throughout the season, we see Xavier grappling with the pressures of being the son of a well-known figure who has largely neglected him. This burden, combined with the desire to prove himself outside of his father's shadow, may be fueling some of Xavier's erratic behavior. It's also revealed that Xavier was sent to therapy, not because his father truly cared about him, but rather to avoid a public relations scandal. This deep sense of abandonment and the need to find his own identity could have driven Xavier to form an intense emotional attachment to Wednesday, someone who also navigates a complicated family dynamic. His need to be seen as more than just Vincent Thorpe's son may be tied to his fixation on getting closer to Wednesday, if he believes she's the only one who understands his struggle. It's possible this attachment has turned into an unhealthy obsession, pushing him to monitor her and stay involved in her life. Though Vincent Thorpe doesn't physically appear in the first season, his presence looms large over Xavier's life. Vincent, a renowned psychic with a reputation in the outcast community, is not only a powerful figure, but also a father who seems more preoccupied with maintaining his public image than with raising his son. Vincent's emotional and physical distance has clearly left a mark on Xavier, who struggles to break free from the expectations tied to his father's fame. But what if Vincent is more than just an absentee parent? What if he's somehow connected to the stalker mystery, using his psychic abilities to keep tabs on Wednesday and the unfolding events at Nevermore in order to protect his own hidden interests? Throughout Season 1, Xavier's actions often raised eyebrows. He always seemed to show up at critical moments, like when he was mistakenly arrested under suspicion of being the Hyde. Even though he was eventually exonerated, his behavior often left an impression of ambiguity, as if he could be playing a deeper game. At times, Xavier displayed genuine care for Wednesday, yet there was also a sense of possessiveness, particularly when it came to her interactions with Tyler. He had a tendency to appear at just the right time, sparking the question, has Xavier been quietly watching Wednesday from a distance even before the stalker's messages began? Could this make him the prime suspect? With Percy Hines-White, the actor who portrayed Xavier, no longer part of the show, it remains unclear how his character's storyline will unfold. Was Xavier originally intended to be the stalker? Or will the plot be reworked to account for the actor's departure? It's a mystery that leaves fans speculating. What are your thoughts on this theory? Let us know in the comments below. When speculating about who might be stalking Wednesday, one name consistently surfaces: Marilyn Thornhill, or more accurately Laurel Gates. As a major antagonist from Season 1, we've already seen how formidable she can be. However, her ultimate fate remains a mystery. Did she truly meet her end after being attacked by Eugene's bees and receiving Wednesday's final strike? The show left us with no clear answers. There was no follow-up to confirm her death or reveal her whereabouts. Laurel, masquerading as a humble staff member at Nevermore, had much darker intentions: the annihilation of the outcasts and the destruction of the Academy itself. To truly grasp what drives Laurel, we need to revisit the tragic events that shaped her. As the sole survivor of the Gates family, Laurel has carried an insatiable thirst for revenge, blaming the outcasts for her family's downfall. But her grudge goes beyond just personal hatred. Laurel's ambitions stretch into something far greater, as she aimed to execute a long-standing family vengeance by resurrecting Joseph Crackstone, a historical figure notorious for his crusade against the outcasts. Although her plot was ultimately foiled, the show left her fate ambiguous, allowing for the possibility that she's still alive and plotting her next move from the shadows. Many fans theorize that Laurel may have escaped in the chaos at Nevermore and could be silently watching Wednesday planning her next attack. Her skill in manipulation is well documented. She deceived the entire staff at Nevermore and expertly controlled Tyler Galpin, turning him into a deadly Hyde to carry out her scheme. If she could control someone as dangerous as a Hyde, the question arises, what else is she capable of if she's still pulling the strings? One compelling theory suggests that Laurel may be rebuilding her influence, recruiting new allies to continue her vendetta against the outcasts. What if she's already laying the groundwork for her next move? It's possible that she's joined forces with others who also seek to control or eliminate the outcasts. The stalker could be merely a piece of her larger plan, someone acting under her orders to torment Wednesday while she prepares for a bigger strike. Laurel's manipulation of Tyler Galpin plays a key role in the unfolding mystery. Throughout Season 1, she used Tyler's abilities as a Hyde to further her own goals, gradually transforming him into a much darker, more dangerous version of himself. Even though Tyler was apprehended at the end of the season, there's a strong sense that his story is far from over. After all, if Laurel could manipulate him once, what's stopping her from doing it again? In the final moments when Tyler is being transported by the authorities, there's a subtle hint that his connection to Laurel hasn't been fully severed. If Tyler manages to escape, which seems likely given the tension in that scene, it's possible that Laurel could continue exerting influence over him, using him as her pawn once more. Could it be that Tyler, still under Laurel's control, is the one sending the stalker messages to Wednesday? Another key relationship to examine is that between Laurel and Sheriff Galpin, Tyler's father. Throughout Season 1, we discovered that Tyler's mother was a Hyde, a fact the sheriff seemed keen to keep buried, perhaps out of shame or a desire to protect his son. This revelation raises questions about how much the sheriff knew about Tyler's actions. Was he aware that his son was behind the attacks, but chose to look the other way? The sheriff's behavior also suggests that he might have had his suspicions, especially given his frequent attempts to deflect blame onto the Addams family. His ongoing grudge against them could have clouded his judgment, making it easier to deny his son's involvement. After the events of the season finale, the sheriff is in a precarious position, having witnessed his son's defeat at the hands of Enid Sinclair. With Tyler's identity as the Hyde exposed, the sheriff's standing in the town is now fragile. Could his desperation lead him to align with Laurel? If the sheriff feels cornered by his dual roles, father to a dangerous creature and lawman of Jericho, he might find himself susceptible to Laurel's manipulations, making him a potential accomplice in her schemes. There's also the possibility that Galpin might be aligned with Laurel Gates, the true mastermind behind Tyler's transformation into the Hyde. Initially, this might seem far-fetched, but remember how skillful Laurel is when it comes to manipulation. She completely controlled Tyler, turning him into her puppet. So, could she be preying on Galpin's grief and anger, manipulating him just as she did with Tyler? Laurel could be using the sheriff's pain to keep tabs on Wednesday, all while plotting her own resurgence. Sheriff Galpin is in a precarious position. He holds both the motive and the ability to become Wednesday's stalker. With his access to key information and his authority, he could easily orchestrate a plan to keep a close watch on her without anyone noticing. If he believes that his actions are justified, an act of justice, he could evolve into one of the series' most tragic yet dangerous figures. Should Laurel manage to gain his trust or manipulate his emotions following the fallout of the first season, Galpin could become another pawn in her game. With his insider knowledge of Jericho and Nevermore, he could be invaluable to anyone who wants to track Wednesday's every move. This makes him a strong candidate as the potential stalker. Another theory is much more straightforward. What if Laurel Gates is the stalker? After losing her grip on everything, she could be operating independently, sending those eerie texts to mess with Wednesday's mind before launching her next move. Laurel has already proven herself as a calculating villain who knows exactly how to exploit people's weaknesses, and she's well versed in pushing Wednesday's buttons. These cryptic messages could be part of her psychological warfare, designed to keep Wednesday on edge, constantly looking over her shoulder. But this theory also raises a crucial question. How would Laurel know about the phone that Xavier gave Wednesday? Could Xavier himself be an unwitting pawn in her plan? Laurel isn't the type to disappear quietly. The unresolved conclusion of her storyline in Season 1 strongly suggests that she's still out there, waiting for the perfect time to strike again. If she's secretly rallying others to assist her, the stalker could merely be the first sign of a much bigger scheme. A coordinated attack from multiple fronts could be on the horizon, with different players involved in Laurel's plot without even realizing it. This would add extra layers of suspense and drama to Season 2, as Wednesday tries to untangle the mystery of the stalker, while uncovering the broader conspiracy forming against her. If Laurel Gates is indeed the mastermind behind these messages, her return would introduce a much more dangerous and layered threat than just a random stalker. But is Laurel truly acting alone? What if, in addition to Tyler, she's managed to rope in a new accomplice, perhaps someone with their own grudge against the outcasts? One such person could be Lucas Walker, who is still reeling from his personal loss, particularly the death of his father, Jericho's late mayor, Nobel Walker. Lucas Walker might seem like a long shot at first, but a closer look reveals potential motives that run much deeper than what we initially saw. During the first season, Lucas appeared to experience a redemption arc, but was it authentic or simply a charade? Could his unresolved anger and grief over the tragedies in his life be fueling a secret desire for revenge? As a normie, Lucas should technically remain on the sidelines in the conflict between Jericho's citizens and the outcasts. However, his father's death, along with the changes to the town's old structure, might have left him feeling powerless and bitter. So, we have to ask, did Lucas truly regret his previous actions, or is there a darker motivation still at play? In Season 1, Lucas started off as an antagonist, but by the end, he seemed to be on the path to redemption. His father, Nobel, was not overtly hostile toward the outcasts and tried to maintain peace in the town. But the change in Lucas' attitude at the end could have been just a facade. Some fans speculate that Lucas never truly let go of his disdain for the outcasts. What if his redemption arc was simply a tactical move, allowing him to bide his time until he could exact revenge? It's possible that his change of heart was just temporary or strategically calculated. This theory becomes even more compelling when we consider the anonymous messages that Wednesday has been receiving. As a normie, Lucas has access to both the town of Jericho and key information about Nevermore. He could easily track Wednesday's movements without drawing suspicion. Could his remorseful demeanor be part of an act to get closer to the outcasts, while secretly planning his next move? Perhaps Lucas is working alongside Laurel Gates, making him a prime candidate for the role of stalker. The critical question remains, is Lucas being manipulated by someone like Laurel, or is he orchestrating everything himself? Either scenario positions him as a strong suspect. If Lucas is the mastermind behind the stalking, it reveals a far more devious side to his character. What if Lucas has been playing everyone all along? His apparent remorse could be a front designed to keep others off his trail while he plots revenge. His connections and knowledge of the town could help him keep Wednesday in a constant state of uncertainty, never knowing where the next threat will come from. If Lucas is indeed the stalker, this would set up an exciting new arc for him in Season 2. His character could evolve from a minor antagonist into a central villain, driven by a deeply personal vendetta against the outcasts and Wednesday herself. Do you remember Coach Vlad, the mysterious fencing instructor at Nevermore Academy? At first glance, he seems like a minor character, simply guiding the students in sports. But if you take a closer look, there's something off about his quiet and detached demeanor. Who is Coach Vlad really, and why does he seem so uninvolved in the major events happening around him? The show has left us with very little information about his background, which has fueled fan theories that Vlad may be hiding something much darker than anyone suspects. His cold, almost calculated attitude during the season finale hints that he may know far more about Nevermore's history than he lets on. This raises an intriguing question. Could Coach Vlad be the one behind the mysterious stalking of Wednesday? He has the skills, the knowledge of the academy, and the emotional distance needed to pull off such a complex plan without raising suspicion. One of the most intriguing theories about Coach Vlad is that he may have deeper ties to Nevermore's long, secretive history, perhaps even going as far back as the era of Joseph Crackstone. Nevermore Academy has a rich, mysterious past filled with hidden secrets and ancient conflicts. Vlad's eerie detachment from the events around him suggests that he knows more than he's revealing. But why does he remain in the background, watching from the sidelines? What if Coach Vlad is connected to former headmasters or other influential figures who once controlled the academy? Perhaps he has been assigned the task of keeping these secrets buried, ensuring that no one, especially Wednesday, uncovers the hidden truths that could disrupt the fragile balance at Nevermore. If this is the case, Vlad could be one of the most dangerous suspects, with both the knowledge and the connections to control the situation from behind the scenes without ever being detected. Another reason fans are suspicious of Coach Vlad is his close proximity to the students at Nevermore. As the fencing coach, he has unique access to their daily lives, witnessing their strengths, weaknesses, and interactions. He's in a prime position to observe students like Wednesday, studying them without drawing any attention. Could it be that Vlad is using this role as a cover to keep an even closer eye on Wednesday, tracking her movements more carefully than anyone realizes? This theory opens up the possibility that Coach Vlad is far more than just a simple coach. He could be someone with far greater influence and darker motives. With his calm, calculating nature, Vlad is perfectly positioned to manipulate events from the shadows, making him a suspect worth watching closely as Season 2 unfolds. When it comes to figuring out who's behind the mysterious messages that Wednesday receives, Enid Sinclair doesn't immediately seem like the obvious choice. However, there are some fan theories suggesting that Enid's role could be much more complicated than just being Wednesday's cheerful roommate. What if Enid herself was behind those anonymous messages sent to Wednesday at the end of Season 1? Enid's lively and playful nature might make her seem unlikely, but perhaps in her mind she thought sending anonymous texts could be a way to break the ice with Wednesday. Given how drastically their personalities differ, could Enid's intent have been to playfully grab Wednesday's attention? It's entirely possible that Enid never meant the messages to be threatening. Instead, this might have been her quirky way of staying in contact with Wednesday after everything that went down in Jericho. Enid enjoys teasing Wednesday to get any sort of reaction. So what if the messages were just another attempt to do so? They could have simply been harmless pranks from Enid, meant to provoke her friend in a playful way. If this theory holds up, it's likely that Enid didn't anticipate how serious the situation would seem. Rather than sending real threats, she might have been looking for a unique way to connect with Wednesday. After all, Enid has always been that vibrant, bubbly presence in Wednesday's life, often trying to coax a smile or a reaction out of her. Seen in this light, the anonymous messages could be viewed as an unconventional, yet well-intentioned way to bond with her friend. This theory also ties into a popular fanship, Wenclair, the idea that Wednesday and Enid's relationship might evolve into something more than friendship. If the show were to explore this route, the anonymous messages could be a subtle way for Enid to express deeper feelings for Wednesday, something she's unsure how to communicate directly. Throughout Season 1, there were moments that suggested how much Wednesday and Enid care for each other, even though they are polar opposites. But it also created a certain emotional tension. If Enid does have deeper feelings for Wednesday, these messages could have been her way of expressing them in a roundabout manner. In fact, a recently released novel adaptation of Season 1 has given even more clues to this dynamic. Some readers have pointed out that Wednesday feels a sense of comfort around Enid that she doesn't experience with anyone else. Wednesday's unusual focus on Enid in certain scenes adds to the speculation that their relationship could be evolving into something deeper. If the series continues down this path, revealing Enid as the sender of these messages wouldn't be a malicious twist, but rather an unexpected way to explore their connection. This revelation could spark some much-needed conversations between the two characters, strengthening their bond and adding emotional depth to the show. Recently, a leaked behind-the-scenes photo from Season 2 has further fueled speculation, showing a tombstone with Enid Sinclair's name on it. This has led to endless fan theories. Could Enid actually be the stalker, with her actions eventually leading to her tragic end? Or is the stalker targeting Enid, with the tombstone being part of a paranormal vision Wednesday sees, pushing her to race against time to save her friend? After diving into the various characters and the many theories surrounding who could be behind the threatening messages sent to Wednesday Addams, it's clear there are numerous directions the story could take. We've explored suspects like Enid Sinclair, Xavier Thorpe, and the ever-mysterious Laurel Gates, each with their own set of motivations and secrets. However, none of them seem to perfectly fit the role of the true stalker. This brings us to a theory that hasn't been widely discussed yet. What if Uncle Fester is more involved in these mysterious messages than we thought? Uncle Fester is known for his eccentric sense of humor and mischievous pranks, especially when it comes to his family. He's exactly the type of person who would do something completely offbeat to test Wednesday's patience. Do you remember the funeral of Mayor Noble Walker? Sharp-eyed viewers may have noticed Uncle Fester in the background, subtly watching over Wednesday. While everyone else's attention was on the funeral, was Uncle Fester quietly tracking Wednesday's movements? It's entirely possible that Fester, with his unpredictable personality, was already planning some sort of prank to get under Wednesday's skin. Uncle Fester has always been hyper-aware of what's going on around him, so it's plausible that he noticed the stalker's strange behavior. Instead of confronting it directly, he might have decided to play his own game, using the anonymous messages to keep Wednesday on her toes. If Fester is behind the texts, this would explain their eerie but ultimately harmless tone. He might have just been trying to stir things up for fun, observing how Wednesday reacts to the situation. On the other hand, if Uncle Fester is just a bystander and not the one sending the messages, it leaves open the possibility that the real stalker could be a new character, someone yet to be introduced but possibly connected to someone we already know. So who do you think is truly behind the stalker messages? Share your theories and your thoughts in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you stay updated on all the latest theories and news about the show. See you in the next video.